In our news package, Ikoro Christian community celebrates Governor Moino at interdenominational Thanksgiving. Honor from home, Governor's wife, Pastor Patience Moino, conferred Phoebe Award. President Tinubu urges African leaders to work for peace, defend democracy. Tales of a Central African tribe where men breastfeed babies. We have details of these and other stories in a moment. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Juliet Richard. People of Ikoro village in Nsolubium local government area have gathered in Thanksgiving to appreciate God for honoring them with electoral victory for Governor Umoino. Held at the Apostolic Church Ikoro area headquarters, the service had clerics and members from the 29 churches in the village gather in an interdenominational service in honor of the Governor Umoino, who took the only Bible reading, said it was pertinent to return home to thank God who saw him through the polls and subsequent inauguration and assumption of office. Governor appreciated the clergymen from churches in his Ikoro village who came together in prayers and other forms of support in his governorship ambition.
Sons and daughters for the support. I want to take a coffee village and after the so we don't see I can for every meeting. They are expecting in the camp in the name of Jesus Christ.
The service was attended by a large contingent of government functionaries, political stakeholders, and supporters. The wife of Akwa State Governor Patience State Governor Pastor Patience Moino has been conferred with the Phoebe Award. The award was presented to her at the Apostolic Church Ikoro in Nsolubium local government area, where she accompanied her husband, Governor Umoino, for an interdenominational worship service yesterday at Ikoro community. The award, according to the Chairman Central Planning Committee, Pastor Ndwese Kwere, is a token of appreciation to God and encouragement to the governor's wife as a servant of God and the church.
Her Excellency Pastor Mrs. Patience Umoino, wife of the governor of Akwa State. This is the Phoebe Award. This Phoebe Award is given to you, our daughter, as a token of appreciation to God and encouragement to you. As the biblical Phoebe, you are a servant of God and of the church. You will remain a succorer of your husband and many that the Lord entrusts to you in Jesus' name. Congratulations.
Grateful for the honor, the wife of the governor, Pastor Patience Moino, appreciated God and people of Ikoro as well as the entire Nsolubium for the massive love and support, praying them God's blessings.
May the Lord bless you richly. What you did for us, standing by us, supporting us during the campaigns and elections in prayer and in fasting, I ask that same God will bless you. I want to say thank I always say that this word, thank you, is almost too small at times. When something huge is done, there's supposed to be a bigger English. Those are things we call to thank God. I say, God bless you. We are grateful. Thank you very much.
Alongside the award, the women of the church also presented food items to the governor's wife. Phoebe, which means pure, radiant, and bright, is the people's way of celebrating the good virtues of the state's first lady. The host of the service and Ikorekbenudo area superintendent of the Apostolic Church, Apostle Ezekiel Inyang, and his wife, Deaconess Joy Inyang, presented a gift to Pastor Umoino and his wife.
The Holy Book in Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 teaches times and seasons to everything on earth, as reason humans and plants have their seasons. Maize is one crop planted in this part seasonally and ripened mostly in rainy season between May and July. This sweet and nutritious crop, when harvested, is processed into different food or eaten with other food like pear as a whole meal. With the current maize season already with us, Aaron Paul takes a look at the hygienic condition of preparing maize, especially the roasted ones, and why maize cannot be cultivated all year round in Akwa Ibom, according to an agriculturist.
Maize, called corn in some countries, and abakpa in Akwa Ibom with the botanical name Z-maize, is a cereal grain that was first planted by ancient Central Americans, according to research. Now planted in Africa and Nigeria, maize takes about 2 to 3 months to produce fruit, the edible part of the maize. Locally, maize is commonly used to produce pap, ogi, flour, snacks, cereals, starch, asabakba, that is maize porridge, itemebakba, ikoki, popcorn, industrial alcohol, and it is also boiled or roasted. Respondents say why they eat and like maize. It is worthy of note that maize in other places is used in production of vegetable oil, while the stalks are used in making rayon, plastics, paper, and wall boards. In Akwa Ibom, maize is given nicknames such as the mouth organ, 6 to 6, catchy and cool, and most people prioritized cooked and roasted by vendors on the roadside. When we surveyed the point of sales of these corns, it was discovered that the vendors used their bare hands to turn them during roasting, while some buyers also touched almost all on the roasting rack in a bid to choose their best. For the cooked maize, the vendors peel with bare hands for the customers. Is this practice hygienic at all? Aside the hygienic condition, maize is consumed with other accessories like pear, coconut, tapioca, editaiwa, gari, among others, according to my respondents. It is also observed that the maize business may be lucrative, judging by the number of sellers. Say approximately 20 vendors could be seen in a small area. How are the sellers coping with the competition? Now, since almost everyone eats and loves maize, can it be planted all year round? And what are the planting processes?
In Akbc State, you can only cultivate maize 2 times in a year. That is during the first season planting, which starts from middle of March to May. Then again, you can crop it again around September during the second season planting. You can only plant maize 2 times because irrigation facility is not available. But up in where there is irrigation, maize can be planted up to 3 times.
To achieve bumper harvest, the Director of Agriculture in the Akbc State Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Solomon Joe, gives answers to these questions.
Maize can yield very well when you plant it with good agronomic practices. The soil must be well drained, not waterlogged, because it does not tolerate drought nor too much water. You can use a planting distance of 75 cm by 50 cm. You put 2 of the maize seed in 1 hole. After that, you will have to apply fertilizer. However, in soils that are good, you don't need the fertilizer.
Anyhow, maize is important because of its health benefits. It is good source of income, sweet to consume, but must be properly and hygienically processed. Enjoy your mouth organ while it lasts, hoping that in the near future it will be an all-year-round food. Happy maize season. Eyageno Paul. Akbc News.
Across the globe, a day is set aside to raise awareness on the roles fathers play in the physical, spiritual, and socio-psychological upbringing of their children. It is likely that more days will be given to the celebration of fathers, even as they assume more roles hitherto traditionally allocated to mothers, such as breastfeeding their babies. Kudos to men of Akbc tribe in Central Africa and Cameroon who breastfeed their babies. Augusta Essien tells us more.
Traditionally, breastfeeding is commonly associated with mothers, but there is a tribe that believe otherwise. The Akbc tribe, found in the Central African Republic and Northern Congo. In addition to having a rich cultural heritage, the Akbc people perceive breastfeeding as an essential aspect of caregiving, a responsibility that extends beyond biological mothers. Their belief system is deeply rooted in the concept of collective parenting, which holds that everyone in the community plays a role in raising children. This is why both men and women actively engage in caregiving and nurturing their infant from the moment a child is born. Akbc fathers are encouraged to develop a strong bond with offspring. This bond is fostered through frequent skin-to-skin contact, including a practice where fathers cradle newborns against their bare chests and breastfeed them. The Akbc people believe that breastfeeding allows men to establish a deep connection with their children while providing vital nutrients. It also allows fathers participate in the nourishment and physical development of their infant. Psychologically, the practice helps the fathers develop strong sense of attachment and empathy for their children. By the way, the men in Akka tribe do not possess mammary glands capable of producing milk, but they stimulate the act of breastfeeding through a traditional technique called milk teeth, a process where the men stimulate their nipples with specific herbs which elicit the release of a very small amount of milk, small but good enough. While this practice might be considered unorthodox in many cultures, it provides an opportunity to reflect on the potential benefits to dual parenting in the early stages of child rearing. In the absence of modern baby care amenities, these men use their nipples very sensibly to soothe their babies when the mothers are not around. It is also better than passing bottle feeders through the shirt to feed the baby with face masking with the mother's picture. According to researchers who first brought the tribe to public notice, male and female roles are virtually interchangeable. While the women hunt even in the 8th month of pregnancy, the men mind the children. While the men cook, the women tap wine. Flexibility unknown in most societies. Interestingly, Akka men take up these roles without a second thought and without, more importantly, any loss of status. No stigmatization, even when they sit around in groups with their babies attached to their chests or even their nipples. Perhaps other tribes should borrow a leaf from the Akka tribe's unique approach to parenting, which challenges the controversial norms and raises interesting questions about the societal construct of gender roles, especially in parenting. Augusta Sien, Akbc News.
And still to come, Eastern Obolo stakeholders, youth embrace peace, commit to a rise agenda. Tanzania declares outbreak of Marburg virus, 6 deaths recorded. We have details of this and more after the break.
Do you know that you have the right to quality broadcasting? The National Broadcasting Commission says any person, group of persons, or organization aggrieved by the content of a broadcast or the conduct of a broadcast station may lodge a complaint to the station and or write to the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, number 20, Ibrahim Taiwo Street, Asokoro, Abuja, or send a mail via info@nbc.gov.ng. Please ensure that your complaint includes name of the broadcast station, title of the program, date and time of broadcast, and essence of the complaint. Also remember to include your name, address, telephone number, email, and append your signature. Note that your complaint must reach the NBC within 14 days of the queried broadcast. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting.
Good to have you back, and now to the rest of our stories. Unarguably, parents are responsible for training their children and teaching them the do's and don'ts in line with societal moral values as well as religious dictates from childhood to adulthood. Notwithstanding how much the parents have to do, the family, school, church, community, government, and perhaps Western modernization and technology, especially the social media, cannot be exonerated from the falling moral standards among children and even some adults, according to Augusta Sien in the following report.
For numerous reasons, parents have been clearly blamed for the surge in moral decadence common among children and youths in the society. While this is so, technology with all its advantages evidenced in the social media content and internet cannot be exonerated from the failure to maintain high morals and discipline among children and youth. Also, institutions like the schools, the churches, and other religious organizations, even the government and the law, peer group influence, materialism, poverty, and youthful exuberance have had their share of blame in this, according to experts. But with the recent happening in various strata of the society, especially in schools across the nation, not even the media has been blamed as much as poor parenting. Every parent was once a child and now an adult talks about the good old days when children were brought up with solid moral and ethical sanctity. So why is it that parents who were privileged to have received such quality upbringing in times past are the ones bringing up children with little or no regard to societal norms and values? One may be forced to ask. Even when the answer or excuse is the influence of modernization aggravated by the internet, many studies still think parents should take the blame for the troubling failure if they cannot control or regulate their influence.
I gave my personal more. Daddy, please, if you don't give me that thing, I will not go to school tomorrow. It can come a challenge. On the school, a day I don't make the gas on the school. Don't bother down. A day when I move on, I go up and move all one. And I'm not doing it, grow wild, I grow wild down. And I guess I come into and take his pan pack in Toyan. They turn on Toyan. You don't even get primary school, nursery school. Make Yaka a token to any Tom Mava. Chicha Bamia, my Kawan Yajicha. So Michicha sits and need a meeting. So Nitoro, it is in a movie Monang, a vine make it a Buchanan Banante. Nitoda made about a fire. It's a little more kid, dear mom, meet this and walk with no kind of mom. My parents used to give me good tutorials to direct me in a godly way. Compared to children of nowadays, most of the parents are not doing their duty.
Child psychologists believe that parents have abdicated their primary responsibility by building up their homes and families to pursuit of wealth, career, pleasure, and fun, and have developed excuses to justify their negligence of this noble duty to the detriment of the children who are now growing into societal misfits.
Children like to test their boundary. They try to push it as far as they could. It is our job as a parent to make sure we set appropriate and be consistent with the way we shape our children. Now, it could be a very hard job. I know that. Been there, done that. But for the next generation to be able to function well, we must, again, I cannot stress it enough, we must redirect certain negativity.
According to African history, children belong to everyone in the community to admonish and correct. But now, over-pampering parents quickly ask questions like, how does it concern you how my child behaves? Is yours any better? But then experts have shown that raising children concerns all, because ill-parented children corrupt and bully other children in the school. They make the environment unsafe and unconducive. They become killer spouses. Ill-parented children's destiny are bad, whereas they would have become someone's helper, a governor, or even a preacher.
Respect is one key. If a child respects their parents, they will respect the whole world around them, because our children doesn't listen to what we say per se, they listen to what we do. So as parents, we must be able to walk the walk that we're saying.
Neglect of parental responsibility from home, especially controlling internet influence, she thinks, has made it a Herculean task.
I could say, maybe the bossy boy, we get to might be organizing them. ndoi ne giri am the phone e di ona na me do oven dum e do oven nursery school e do na dan the thing e follow up the thing aye bi am ndoi ya ka ndoi ne gane e phone about exposed to pornographic images and all those things that will expose you, because you can browse his father's or mother's phone easily.
Experts have all agreed, however, that while parents have the sole responsibility of breeding good children into acceptable adults, their efforts should be crowned by religious organizations, education stakeholders, the law, and government, by churches preaching and teaching more of morals, virtues, righteousness than prosperity, and emphasizing on Sunday school and children's church schools, making moral instruction a compulsory subject just like mathematics and English, introduction of scripture union and students' Christian movement in secondary school as the case was, to take the place of cult groups.
The society have a lot of duty to play, and the parents most importantly have a good duty to play.
Government and relevant agencies should make laws and regulate information on the internet circulating in the society, especially for children. This is everyone's war, and all hands must be on deck to succeed.
But the core purpose, how our children can develop good self-esteem, start from the house. It starts from the parents.
Augusta Isian, Akbc News.
A peace and unity walk has been held by people of Eastern Obolo local government area to affirm their willingness to seek peace and put an end to the restive spell recently experienced in the area. The rally took them through major streets of the area up to the Obolo Hall, where the youth presented a peace charter. Yours truly witnessed the rally and now reports.
Youth of Eastern Obolo with placards announced their willingness to embrace peace and partner the Moino Arise agenda. That's to carry the peace. In a remark, the chairman of the planning committee, Barrister Sam Mukwema, described peace as a veritable tool for development and reinstated Obolo people's resolve to benefit from the golden era.
Every time in America, when a player will use peace, it's all achieve whatever I want. And that this new dispensation, and this new era, all that we can see is peace and development. All that we can see is peace and development.
In a paper presented by the Chairman Elders Forum, Sir Adasi Ibulum, on conditions precedents for community growth, opined that only peace can promote growth and development of society.
The first core ingredient to usher in community growth and development is peace. Peace is taken to be a state of people in whom there is no war, a state of being free from dissension. Peace is so important in the world that even the living will tell the dead, R.I.P.
The paramount ruler of Eastern Obolo, His Royal Majesty Ugbo Harry John Eteto, said the governor, Pastor Omono, has promised to fulfill his campaign promises to them if they allow peace to prevail.
And today, we have gathered, we have converged, as we talk about the promise of Eastern Obolo. I bring peace always, and then peace is my tongue. I give peace. I give peace. And whatever I do, depicts peace. Because I know that without peace, there will be no problem.
Similarly, Stakeholders, including the State House member representing Akbc, Eastern Obono constituency, clan head, council chairman, and the regional manager of Sterling Group of Company, and others also preached the message of peace.
The government has changed, and we believe this will now change. But I want to thank God for the wisdom of Pastor Moino, who has given peace to come down to listen to the people, and also to consult them and know the challenges that we are facing, and also to bring a resolution to this problem. I say may God continue to bless you, that we are here to partner with you. The partner is at work to demonstrate that we, among the children, or the youth, or the ladies, or the women, or the planners and the team for the land issues.
High point of the event was the presentation of a peace charter signed by a cross-section of youth leaders in Eastern Obono, binding their resolve to lay down their wrath.
We declare that going forward, one, we the youths shall do everything within our powers to promote harmony and prevent conflict with our neighboring communities.
Juliet Richard, Akbc News.
President Bola Tinubu has urged leaders of the West African sub-region to work for peace and defend democracy. President Tinubu, who was unanimously elected as chair of the 16-nation Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, at the 63rd Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of State and Governments of the sub-region, reflected on the threat to peace in the region, which has reached alarming proportion with terrorism. The president unfolded his agenda for elaborate socio-economic plans for the sub-region and encouraged trade and investment among member states. President Tinubu said Nigeria will organize a trade and investment summit in October to draw home the importance of private sector-led economic growth in the sub-region. The ECOWAS chairman called for improved private sector participation in the efforts towards the economic development of member states as well as their social integration. Report has it that there is an outbreak of a new disease called Marburg disease caused by fruit bats. The Ministry of Health of the United Republic of Tanzania on June 2 declared the first documented outbreak of Marburg virus from Bukaba district, Kagera region, with a total of 6 deaths. Aaron Paul reports on the outbreak.
Marburg virus disease, according to reports, spreads via direct contact between broken skins or mucous membranes with the blood secretions organs or other body fluids of infected people and with surfaces such as beddings and clothing. The virus is said to also be contracted with fluids of people suffering from it or the corpse of whoever dies from the disease. According to epidemiology of the Marburg virus, incubation period varies from 2 to 21 days with symptoms like high fever, severe headache, severe malaise, and severe hemorrhagic manifestations.
It's a deadly illness health officials in Equatorial Guinea have never seen before, but others have, and they're worried.
Marburg belongs to the same family of viruses as Ebola, and like Ebola, has a very high fatality ratio.
Marburg virus lives in fruit bats. It transmits from person to person through bodily fluids and causes severe hemorrhagic fever, bleeding in organs throughout the body. The illness kills 50 to nearly 90% of people infected. There are no approved treatments or vaccines.
Any supportive care for patients include rehydration with oral or intravenous fluids, since the treatment of specific symptoms co-infections can improve survival, and a range of potential treatments are being evaluated, including blood products, immune therapies, and drug therapies.
Thousands of people are now being quarantined inside their homes.
This is where there are some suspected cases just right across the border. So,
Dr. Cameron Kahn tracks viruses around the globe. He says the case count is likely an underestimate, noting outbreaks are kind of like house fires. Canadian scientist Gary Kobinger worked on a Marburg vaccine over a decade ago. The work was shelved due to funding. Experts insist countries should invest in public health and get ahead of virus.
In Tanzania, among the reported 11 cases, 3 have recovered and a total of 6 people have died. Cases range from age 1 to 51, with males being the most affected. Equatorial Guinea is said to have recorded some deaths, according to reports.
First and foremost, we need to intensify the epidemiological surveillance, so quickly confirming contacts of cases themselves, and the most important thing to do, of course, is to stop the transmission of the virus. The virus is transmitted in body fluids, so blood, sweat, saliva, other body fluids. So what is very important is, first of all, for healthcare workers, who are some of the first contacts, and we have had a couple of healthcare workers die in Equatorial Guinea, to make sure that they are aware of all the precautions, even as they do the clinical care of people, so personal protection equipment, gloves, masks, and so forth, to stop them being infected.
It is expected that Nigerian medical personnel should take measures to prevent the outbreak of this Marburg virus disease. That's the size of our package this afternoon, but before we go, a quick look at the major stories. Governor Umoino, wife, patients, and an expansive array of congregants yesterday converged on the Apostolic Church Ikorekpenodo area headquarters for an interdenominational thanksgiving for the governor's electoral victory and subsequent assumption of office, organized by people of Ikorekpenodo village in Nserubium local government area. We also brought you a report that following weeks of unrest and disturbance, stakeholders and people of Eastern Obolo local government area, through a peace charter, have resolved to sheath their swords and embrace peace and harmonious coexistence to reap benefits of the golden era. That's the size of our package this afternoon. We appreciate your company. My